Hello and welcome back to the garden. And in today's video I've got two projects. First one is to add some perennials and ferns to this new shade border on my right, and the second one is to add a few perennials to the white garden. But I'm going to start here first. For anyone that's new to the channel, the steps behind me take you down to the lower quarry, but today I'm going to concentrate on this border, which does run all the way down to the lower quarry, but I'm only adding plants to this top section. And I have some lovely plants, as you can probably see. The Astilbes will really brighten up this area, which is pretty much full shade. You're under all deciduous trees. So this time of year, it's quite limited, the amount of light that you get here. Tiny bit of filtered sunshine this time of day. We're heading into early evening. But other than that, it's pretty dark most of the time. So these should really brighten up this area. And it's quite breezy today, so hopefully you can hear me. The second plants that I want to add here are the Japanese painted fern. Now I know quite a few of you over the years have said to me in the comments, why don't you give this particular fern a go? So I've now found the right combination of plants and the right positions to add them. And lastly, is one of my favourite Brunneras, and this is the silver heart. And I just think the silver heart fern with the silvery leaves of the Japanese painted fern would be a lovely combination with the Astilbes. So let me turn the camera around, show you the border, how it's looking now 6 months on from when I first started it, and we'll add these plants. This is the area that I'm going to add the plants to today, but just in the back here I have just one type of shrub, and it's a variegated rhodie. These large specimens came from elsewhere in the garden. I dug them up and moved them here, but the smaller shrubs I bought and added last September too. But they did struggle over the winter. You can see some of the leaves really browned off quite badly and dropped off, and I thought I had lost them, but they do seem to be bouncing back. So hopefully this should be okay. The plant design that I'm going for is pretty much the same as what I've used in the shade borders on the opposite side, although they're just different varieties. This Brunnera is Alexander's Great, and they are in a swoop around the front, and then through the next section is a big drift of Astilbes ferns. That's the hart's tongue fern, which does very well in my climate. Gorgeous glossy green leaves. I love this fern. Behind that is another Astilbe, and these have grown huge in the 2 years that they've been in. And this is Delft lace, and they flower for me around about end of July, August time. And then on this side, another shade border. This is the one that I developed last year. So these plants have been in the ground now approximately 9 months, I would say. Again, the same formula. The Brunnera is Alexander's Great, big swoop around the front, and they seem to be doing so much better in this border than in the other one. And then more of the Astilbes ferns, and then behind that you have Japanese anemones, and that's Honoré Joubert. And then the same Astilbe, again, which will flower in about a month's time, which is Delft lace. I just thought I'd mention before I plant the Astilbes, I've pre-prepared the ground. And that's because here is just a shelf of sandstone. And this is what it looks like when I dig it out to make planting pockets. Hence why I've added these canes into areas where I've prepared a planting pocket. And I do have to bring in additional soil that I had to buy. It's the only way that I can create a garden in areas like this. But this is the lovely sandstone that comes out. Quite often you do get large pieces like this that come out or dig out. A lot of the time, and it's very heavy, a lot of the time it just is something like this one here that I've put to one side. Smaller pieces. You can't always guarantee that you're going to get a good chunk like that one out, but I use them all around, mainly in the lower quarry, around pond areas. Just trying to find its best angle, because you'll find when you're adding plants to the garden. All plants tend to have a front and a back, depending on how they've been grown. So hopefully that's the front angle that you can see there now. Well, I've planted 5 so far. Got 1 left. Not quite sure whether to plant it further down this way or plant it within this stumpery, just to join these 2 areas of the border together. But it's getting quite stormy, so I'm going to call it a day and I'm going to finish this off tomorrow. So it's the next day. The wind has died down, thankfully. It's a bit drizzly. Another bad hair day on YouTube. But this is the last Astilbe that I've got to add. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but it's just a bog standard white Astilbe. It isn't any particular variety. Next plant in the display is the Japanese painted fern. Not quite sure of the botanical name, so I'll put that on the screen. Because it's the first time I've ever grown these. Now they do like partial shade. They grow about 30 centimetres in height, which is about a foot, and about 40 centimetres in width. It's quite a small fern. Don't know how it'll survive here because it does prefer to be in more of a sheltered spot. It doesn't cope too well with strong winds, so it may not survive the winter. So it's a bit of a gamble, but we'll see. I've always wanted to try them, and I don't have many places to add them so far in the garden. So we'll see. So I've got several to add in between all of the Astilbes. The last plant that I'm adding for this display is the Brunnera Silver Heart. Now I grow these in the white garden and they've fast become my favourite Brunnera. Lovely, as the name suggests, silver leaves, very shiny silver leaves, green veining through them, like partial to full shade. Always a bonus for me when you garden in pretty much a shade garden, full shade. And they do like a moist soil until they're developed and until they're established. After that, they could probably cope with drier situations, and they can tolerate sun too, this particular one, although not the hot midday sun. Grows anything from a foot to 2 feet in spread, in height around about a foot in height. So I intend to add them around the front of this border. Now, I do tend to buy them if I have to buy them. Obviously, at the moment, I don't have enough to split these. But for now, if I buy them in these smaller containers, which are either 90 centimetres or a litre. More cost effective when you want to buy quite a few. And buying smaller plants, it gives the plants a better chance of developing than adding a large specimen. Gives a chance for the roots to develop into your ground in your garden. So I'm going to add several of them around this area. Well, I should see it in the spring, and you can see on this particular one, they do have lovely sprays of light blue flowers, very pretty, as are all Brunneras, I must admit. That's another section crossed off the list in this shade garden. This border, at least the top of this border now, is pretty much planted up. And hopefully it comes through on camera how bright this area is with these white Astilbes. And once the Brunneras flush out and grow and expand, I think they'll make a lovely addition. And I think, doing a lot of thinking today, I'm going to extend the Brunneras up into that area too. But these Astilbes won't flower this early for me next year because I've found in shade they do tend to flower a lot later, as they have in the borders behind me. Down here, the borders either side of the steps are yet to be developed. It's only this top section here that I've done so far. I have a very small border on this side, which I have a few Brunneras to add, and that will brighten up this area. I would love to add Astilbes here, but it's very dry underneath pretty much huge deciduous trees, and I think they would just remove all of the moisture in the ground, so we're pointless adding them to there. And then this section at the back, which is pretty much overgrown shrubs, trees which require limbing up, that will be next year's project. I won't be attempting that this year. I always try to do one area in this shade garden every year. And this is Astilbe, this is Delft Lace. It's come up so early, I'm not quite sure why. Does it get extra light being near the end of the border? Because all of the others around here and in the border at the top there, they're nowhere near. There's no colour in them, they're completely green still. So that's a bit odd. Just before I plant the last perennials of today, I thought I'd give you a brief tour of what the garden looks like, the white garden looks like in early summer. The borders are difficult to plant because they are seen from 4 different sides. There's 4 borders and each of the borders is seen from several angles, so it's quite difficult to find a front and a back and a middle. But this one, which faces onto the patio area, is full of Cosmos Purity, which haven't flowered yet, Asters, which will flower later in the season, Ami Major, which I've grew from seed for the first time this year, and I'm pretty pleased how it's growing through the grass. And then you have the Rose, which does need some deadheading. I need to get onto that. And that's this side. There's Phloxes at the back which haven't yet come into flower. As you can see, the Annabelle hydrangeas are pretty much the star of the show, and I've based the whole white garden around these now. And then on this side we have slightly different planting because it's a lot shadier on this in this border. I have the hostas, which are looking pretty chewed by all of the slugs and snails. This is a lovely, I love these fern-like. This is the milk parsley, but I just think they really do set the hydrangeas off. And then the foxgloves at the back there, which are just about finished now, and the veronicastrum, which has yet to flower, and Shasta daisies in this section, tall Shasta daisies, which are just starting to open. So if we walk round into the main section of the white garden, and if you like tall grasses, I can recommend this grass. This is Calamagrottus overdam. It's a lovely grass for a white garden, and it's just come into flower. Look at those flowers, slightly pink tinge to them when they first open, but you can see all of the Ami Major just floating through this grass, and that's the effect that I wanted. And then more Annabelle hydrangeas, and then on this opposite side we have a self-seeded, which has made its presence felt right in the middle of this section, which is between 2 Annabelle hydrangeas, and it's the milk parsley again, Solenum wallachianum, and then another grass which was at the front, but it doesn't matter, it's working lovely there. And then in the middle of the white garden you have another view from a different angle. You have all of the white veronicas that I added, and they are now in full bloom, and they are sitting above the bench, which is the look that I was going for. You have the phloxes at the back, some delphiniums at the back which are just coming into flower. The phloxes a little bit further away, another week or so. This hydrangea is a little bit more shaded, so it's not yet in full bloom. Got some of the lilies there just starting to open. These are the astrantias, which have been really good this year. They've flowered for a long period of time. And then the filipendula at the back here. Hopefully the camera is picking up all of these different shades of white. And then along the front or the side of this border, whichever way you want to call it, you have all of the Brunnera silver heart, and wow, these just do so well. Lovely silver colour for a white garden. These are the two cuttings that I added earlier in the year, and they have trebled in size in about 6 to 8 weeks. And similarly on the other side I have the same, running along the side of the path, the same Brunnera. All of the lupins have been cut back now, little bit of mildew. I've cut one to the ground and the other two I have left because they have some buds coming. But they do have some mildew, so we'll have to watch those. And then that's a Veronicastrum, which is just obviously young plants that I added, young divisions I added last year. This is an Annabelle hydrangea that for some reason has not done very well this year. It only has one flower. I added it last year, so it is a young shrub, but the one on the other side, which was also added last year, is just blooming fabulously. Look at the size of the blooms. So I can't understand how the one on the other side's not doing very well. Anyhow, at the back we have Veronicastrum. This is a different type, an early flowering one, which is, I think it's spring dew. If it's not that, I will add it on the screen. Then we have the Regersia, which was white flowers, but they're now a lovely shade of pinkish red. And yes, it's the white garden, but they're just stunning, so I've decided to leave them. And up here you have all of the white containers that I did about 3 weeks ago. And you can tell we've had quite a bit of heat here in the UK, so all of these are blooming lovely. This one in particular, look at the begonias and the Gara at the back. All of the begonia pots. And then the hydrangea. The dahlias, which I have cut back now, waiting for the next flush of flowers. This one here has failed miserably. Not quite sure why the annuals around the centrepiece have died, but they have. So it just shows you can't, sometimes you just can't win. Anyhow, in this section, this is my favourite section, and this is where I'm going to add the new Shasta daisies. And I think this is my favourite section because it has plants in it that I've grown from seed myself. The hydrangea was a cutting, the Annabelle hydrangea. The Veronicastrums I added as new plants last year. And these gorgeous phylacteriums I grew from seed last year. And they've just really astonished me how well they've done. But now it's time to add the new perennials that I've got. Down this path I have the Primula, postfed white, that flowers in the spring. And I do love them, but they self-seed everywhere for me and they become a bit of a nuisance. So I'm digging them out and I'm going to add these down in the bog garden. So they're not going to waste, and it just means that I can, the size of these, it just means that I can add some summer flowering Shasta daisies to this spot. That's all of the primulas dug out. I need now to go down to the bog garden and replant them. But the daisy plant or perennial that I've chosen to add to this position is a Leucanthemum, and it's Ooh La La Spider, and it's very pretty. I love it. And the reason why I've gone with this one is because I have them already on the other side. I added a few last year on this side of the path, They're not big enough yet, they haven't bulked up enough yet to split them, so I didn't want to disturb them this year. So I've bought 2 new ones and going to add them here. I've got the geraniums, not quite sure if they're in shot, either side of the path. Up this side, I'm adding that symmetry. On this side, they're just young seedlings. I divided this one in the spring, so they will bulk up by next year. And then these 2 will be added to this side of the path, and they'll just add that nice bit of symmetry, that nice bit of white colour for this time of year. But that's it for today. Next time, I'll probably be down in the bog garden, finishing off the pool. I'm not calling it a pond, it's a water feature, a pool that I've added. Hopefully, I'm going to progress that in the next couple of days. So I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.